Recently, we put out a video covering Wuthering Waves, and we weren't quite sure if our audience would have liked it or not due to the gacha nature of the game. But to our surprise, there was overwhelming positive feedback about the video, with people asking to see more about the content on the game itself. So in today's video, we're going to break down the 11 minutes gameplay trailer that we currently have for the game, and round up the most important things that you need to know about the game from the footage. The gameplay itself was uploaded to IGN, and it has a whole bunch of different gameplay mechanics and features showcased, such as characters, open world activities, combat, and we even got to see a glimpse of the map itself. From this footage, it's looking like the game is shaping up nicely, and with it of course being from the same team as Punishing Grey Raven, we expect the combat to be extra spicy, as it's looking better than we thought it would, considering this is an open world game and not a linear action game. Kuro Games also had a closed beta preview recently, which we will be covering very soon, so you guys know what to expect from the beta, so hit that like button down below to show support, and subscribe so you don't miss out on our upcoming coverage of Wuthering Waves. Currently, there's an interesting discussion going on amongst fans of these types of games, with some people comparing Wuthering Waves to Genshin Impact. While we think that the games definitely do have their similarities, they are kind of aiming to do something different within the same space and have their own positives on each side. But it would be great to know which one are you liking the look of more, Wuthering Waves or Genshin Impact. We think that once Wuthering Waves hits the market, it will coexist with Genshin, similar to how Call of Duty does with Battlefield or World of Warcraft with Final Fantasy XIV. Ultimately, they're similar games but with slightly different tastes, but let us know what you think in the comments down below. One of the most important parts of any gacha game is the characters and the pools, and in this gameplay we got to look at 4 different characters in action in-game. While playing, you will have access to 3 selectable characters which you can switch between on the fly during combat. Your additional characters though can be changed in the menu, meaning you can tailor your team for any engagement or challenge. The 4 characters we got to look at in the gameplay though is the default main character Rover, but also Chixia, Jiyan, and Jiyan. With the characters being quite an important aspect of these games, we want to learn more about them, and the official website actually has descriptions for each of them, so let's go through them so we can all understand them a bit better. First up is the default Rover character that comes in both a female and male form, and the description on the website reads, quote, "Awakened with an unknown past, Rover embarks on a journey to uncover the truth. As secrets are revealed, Rover establishes deeper communications with the world." End quote. And next up is Jiyan, which is a character we have probably seen the most gameplay of, and was the main character in the CGI trailer for the game. She's a katana wielder, which immediately has my interest, and looks like something straight out of Devil May Cry. Here's the description for Jiyan. Quote, "A member of the Midnight Rangers, a young girl as gentle as a breeze, capable of calming those around her. Rather than making herself stand out, she prefers to occupy others quietly, only offering necessary comfort whenever she senses the person's needs. However, when faced with protecting the things she dares most, Jiyan will not hesitate to convert her gentleness into blades." End quote. But next up is probably my favorite looking character so far, the dual-wielding Chixia. On the website they say, quote, "A member of the Ministry of Development, self-proclaimed ally of justice, Chixia is always seen vibrant and full of energy, soaring through the streets of Tiancheng. Able to offer her passion into bullets, she has unlimited enthusiasm just like her ammunition. Wherever there are people in need, you can always find Chixia." End quote. And lastly is Jiyan, and from the gameplay we have seen so far, he does look pretty nuts with a combination of wide-sweeping lance attacks and aerial mobility from lunges, setting him up to be a pretty awesome looking character. Here's the official description where it says, quote, "Midnight Rangers Commander Jiyan is a man of righteous and resolute heart. He is able to bend the slightest breeze into the sharpest lance. His experience in battles and as a leader on battlefronts allows him to witness the truths and cruelties of the world. Being a commander bears the duties of decision making. Some have pained him, yet none have dazed him." End quote. And we're actually really liking how different each character looks when it comes to their combat and gameplay. Each character will have their own unique mechanics when it comes to the combat, and that is often reflected on the UI itself. Certain characters will actually need to build up meters or perform attacks to create special actions. The examples we were given in a previous developer diary was using basic charge attacks on one of the characters to detonate ice shards that were left behind by skills for extra damage. Without a doubt though, one of the main draws for plenty of gamers eyeing up Wuthering Waves is the open world, and previously the developers have spoken a lot about how they will fill the open world with activities and things to collect. But now we've actually seen some of it in the footage in action, and in the gameplay we got to see a player tackling some of the challenges, puzzles, and a variety of collectibles within this open world. One of the challenges that we saw a player complete had them running to complete a course before a timer ran out, and they had to use all their mobility skills in order to complete it in time. There also seems to be a number of puzzles for players to complete as well. The example in the video had the player triggering nodes in the world by attacking them, and then some of the nodes were hidden until the player used a scan ability to actually reveal them. There was even a very unique looking challenge where the player is transformed into a bird echo and was tasked with collecting orbs. So hopefully the game has a diverse collection of these kind of activities to keep the gameplay and open world exciting. Of course, completing these activities will give you rewards in the form of a chest to open, which gives you some goodies that are probably used to make you grow stronger. But similar to Genshin, there will also be nodes for fruits and other gathering items throughout the open world. If you're a fan of the Dark Souls series or Death Stranding, then you will probably be familiar with the mechanic that allows the community to leave useful messages behind on the floor, such as the famous finger butt hole. And well, Wuthering Waves is employing a similar system whereby players will be able to leave a short message behind from a number of pre-selected templates, and other players can upvote these messages. There isn't currently anything known if players will be rewarded for doing this, for getting plenty of upvotes on their messages and so on, but it's a pretty cool system, and I'm sure people will find creative messages to leave behind for other players. Something that was featured heavily in all aspects of the gameplay was the traversal, and Kuro Games have said that they want players to have a higher degree of freedom. The gameplay has some great examples of how they're going to achieve this, in that the player can use anchor points to lunge forwards through the air. There's also a grapple tether which is selectable from a sub-menu, a glider to cover wide open spaces, and even glowing rings to propel yourselves over longer distances. But even in the ground running animation, it looks pretty fluid, and you can see the character vault over objects like logs and other obstacles, so running around in the world does look pretty smooth and gives us a lot of options for traversal. One of the things that we've got a much better understanding of now from the gameplay is the ecosystem. The ecosystem in the game is a version of Monster Hunter collecting. After defeating certain monsters in the open world, you're able to absorb them and then use their abilities freely later on. These echoes won't be purely for offensive use as well. There will be defensive, support, and mobility echoes that will benefit us in different ways. From looking at the echo menu, it looks like they can be upgraded and leveled up as well. The menus also indicate that maybe some echoes might be tied to certain characters at a time, as indicated by the character icon next to the image of the echo itself. But these echoes can be showcased at any time via the Echo Showcase, and they seem to adapt the elements of the character that they are attached to. Personally, I think this sounds like an awesome system to have in a game like this, and if they're able to put in some particularly challenging echoes in the game that are very hard to defeat but super OP when you get to use them yourselves, that would be a very rewarding gameplay loop for us players. So I really do like where they could go with this system. And as mentioned earlier, we also got a quick look at the map, which is very similar to maps in most open world games, with points of interests and objectives all over the map, but you will be happy to hear you can fast travel on the map itself too. The next thing we want to talk about is the combat in the gameplay. One of the biggest deals to us is that it gave off the impression of it feeling weighted but also fast-paced. We love just how seamless and quick the character switching is, and with the different characters having their own traits, making combinations and quick switching between them will definitely open up some incredible combat paths and options for us players. In general, we pretty much can't wait to try this one out for ourselves, and hopefully it turns out to be good, but until we have played it for ourselves, we just don't know, so we will have to wait and see. If you want to see more on Wuthering Waves, you can support this video by hitting that like button down below. And the two videos on screen now, we think you'll really enjoy if you did enjoy this one. Of course, you don't have to if you don't want to, but if you did find this video interesting or helpful, you should probably check these ones out too. And then tell us what you think after watching in the comments down below.